All right, an unqualified structured reference in column G. This is step number 7 for chapter 4, Grader Project 1. We're going to put an equal sign, and then we're going to determine the value of the inventory on hand. We're asked to calculate the inventory on hand by multiplying it by the unit price and the amount on hand. So we're taking, this is what we want, we're taking amount on hand, multiplying it by the unit price. So I'm putting an equal symbol in cell G2, then I'm clicking on cell E2, I'm putting a multiplication symbol, and then I'm clicking on F2. Once you press enter, it'll automatically input the information for the entire column. We're then asked in that same question to apply an accounting number format. I'm going to go ahead and click on the letter G at the top of the column and apply the accounting number format for the whole column. So we're going to go to our home tab, the number group, and then go ahead and apply accounting. So the accounting number format is there. Step 8, we're scrolling to the bottom. We need to make sure that we insert a total row. So you saw me just undo it because I wanted to show you how to do it, but it's super simple. It's on your table tools on the design tab here, and you'll click the total row, which automatically happens. And then you have the option to select how you want each row to be totaled. So you'll notice that there's a little arrow at each little cell. So for number 8, it asks us to, set the inventory value to sum. So here's my inventory value. I'm going to click that drop down arrow and set that to sum. And then we need to set our amount on hand to average. And we're also asked to make sure that the format displays 2 decimal points. So on cell E79, you'd want to make sure you go up to the home tab and then just deselect to make sure that there's 2 decimal points. You probably have it looking like this. You'll need to make sure that it comes down to look like this. All right, step number 9. I'm going to whiten this back up and scroll back down, up. We're going to create a conditional formatting rule that displays an inventory value for the food and health department. With a value of 30,000 or more as a red fill color, there will be 2 qualifying entries. So the goal is that we want to see for everything, and I'm going to do this just so you guys can kind of see what we're doing. I'm going to just show only my food and health, and I'm going to look at all of these numbers. So of all the food and health department items, there are only 1 and 2 that have an inventory value of over $30,000. So we want to set a conditional format for our table in column G that only highlights these 2 specific numbers. How do we do that? So we're going to go back and have it look how yours looks. The first thing you'll need to do is make sure you select cells G2 all the way down to G78, because we need to let the system know where our format is going to go. G2 through G78. Do not select the total because that'll also get highlighted. We don't want to include that. G2 to G78. Go ahead and go to your home tab. To the styles group, you'll find the conditional formatting option. Then we're going to select new rule. Now, we don't just have 1 rule here, we have 2 rules that we're having to indicate. We wanted to make sure that it says it's for food and health and that it's over 30,000. So we need to set a formula that has 2 rules. When we want to set a formula for a conditional format for 2 rules, we're going to need to use an AND. And we'll discuss AND and OR as the semester goes on. And allows us in the formula to set 2 parameters for this format. So in my formatting rules, we were here, I'm looking at the rule types. I want to use a formula to determine which cells to format. And we're going to type this formula in. So I'm going to click in this format values where this formula is true. So I'm going to put an equal symbol, and then I need to tell it, well, you're ready to calculate. What are we calculating? Well, I need to put the word AND to let the system know we're calculating for 2 parameters. Then I need to do the open parenthesis because now it has to know what parameters to calculate for. And we're going to say, we want you to look at cell D2 because D2 which is, and you always use the first row of information to calculate the rest of it. D2 is where we're going to find the food and health department, right? So that's where we're going to say D2 has got to equal to, and when you're putting in the words like that and you want it to be exact, you're going to use open quotes. So open quotes will say we want it to exactly be. So make sure it's open quotes, not single quote, but open quotes. I know you can't see this too well, but it's a shift in the open quotes. Food, make sure you spell it correctly. A space, because food and health is written with a space. The and symbol, space, health, closed quote. Then we have to put a comma, which is a syntax indicator in the formula that says we're moving to the next part. So it's looking for food and health, and we're looking for G2, this column, to be greater than 30,000. And then close a parenthesis. The next part is it asks us to make sure that we format the display results with a red fill color. So we need to if we don't indicate how it's formatted, it's not going to show us anything. So we're going to need to now click on this format tab, and we want to make sure we're on the fill tab, not the font tab, but the fill tab here, and we want to choose the red fill color. This is red, this is dark red. So we're going to choose red right here. We're going to click OK, and it should apply. Okay, so I did something wrong. Let's go back and look at that. And let's see, manage roles. I'm going to open this up. I see what I did wrong. I forgot to indicate cell G2. It's looking in the column G and it's confused. So we got to indicate G2, because if it's looking in D2, it's got to look in G2. Click OK. Now if we click apply, we should see, good, there's one, food and health, over 30,000. Click OK. And there's the other. I apologize, I've got a bit of a cough. So let's move on to step 10. Step 10 asks us to ensure the warehouse information is not broken up between pages when printed. So let me explain what we're doing here. We want to make sure that when it prints, that each city is printed together. It's not printing Denver in half or put Memphis in half or San Diego in half. We want to make sure that every city that prints on the page as the entire city on that page. So we're going to go ahead and click on the View tab, and I'd like you to click on the Page Break Preview in the Workbook Views group. And we're going to look at this. So when you're looking at this, this is how it would print out for you. It would print out, actually I'm going to show you a different view. Let's go from File, Print, and you'll see that if it was to print, it would print like this: page 1, page 2, page 3, page 4. Page 3 and 4 should be on the same page. And we want to make sure that every city, see this Potomac is on page 1 and it's been broken up onto page 2. We want to make sure that every city is printed together, that entire city. And we also want to make sure that every column is together. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to make sure that this dotted line isn't there. These are indicating that this is the first page. You'll see that you can see page 3 here, page 2, page 4. We only want probably 2 pages. So I'm going to take this line and move it all the way to the end, because we only want that to be a page 1. And then we also know that if Potomac is not going to be able to print together, we're going to have to move this all the way up between row 45 and 46. So what I'll now have is 2 pages printed together. So if I look at my print preview now, I'll notice that I have my entire page 1 with Denver and Memphis, and an entire page 2 with Potomac and San Diego. Step 11, set the landscape. So I'm going to go ahead and click on page layout, set the landscape orientation to repeat row 1 labels on all pages. Oh, okay, so what do they want? This is a different thing. They want to make sure that when we print, you see this row 1 right here, that label shows up on the second page here. There are several ways you can do this. You can click on the Page Layout tab, and you can go over to the Page Setup group and click on the Print Titles. which is where you would have repeating of print titles. And you'll open up the page setup group. Now you could do it that way. You could click the drop down, the dialog box launcher, and open it up that way. The same page setup dialog box is also located over here in the print preview or in the print section. It opens up the same thing. You'll just need to make sure you click on the sheet option. And we want rows to repeat at the top, okay? So I'm going to go back to the ribbon and use it from here. I have rows to repeat at the top. Because when you do this one in the print preview, these will be grayed out, so you'll actually need to make sure that you're in the page itself and not in the preview. So page setup, rows to repeat at top. I want my first row to repeat at top, so I'm going to go ahead and select my first row. And then I can do a preview again of how it would look. Exactly perfect. All right, step 12, insert a footer with your name on the left side and the sheet name code in the center. So I'm going to get out of this view and go to normal. And then I'm going to click on Insert tab, go to the text group, click on Header and Footer. Now you know that we set it to 2 pages. So here's page 1, here's page 2. We want to put a footer, it says. So we're going to insert a footer. There's 3 ways you can insert, 3 locations. There's a left, center, and right. We want to go ahead and insert a footer with our name on the left side. So you're going to put your name. The sheet name code in the center. So I'm going to click here. My design tab for my header and footer tools. I'm going to click sheet name. And then you'll click in the right side and we were going to insert the file name code, so the file name. It is that easy. Now we're going to display the inventory sheet in page break preview. So let's click view. Oop, we're gonna first need to get out of this view. So you'll need to get out of your header and footer tools. How do you do that? You can click on the view tab and click normal, go back, or you can just go straight to page break preview. And we want to just look at it. So this is how you would finish up, and then you're going to save it and close this and submit it onto My IT Lab.